And I hope that you, yes, good. I see people in the chat writing. I'm going to go a little off the page. I think one of the bravest things in this life is to receive. People, we talk a lot about giving and what we give to others. And I think it's very challenging to wholly receive and to be receptive. And so on the heels of what Jane just offered us, may we receive. May we receive the blessing. May we receive the sound. May we receive the word. May we receive the love. One of the reasons that we are not always inclined to be receptive is due to society and culture, and often levels of unconsciousness that are around us. And so sometimes it is not good to receive. And after years of being alive on the journey of life, some of you don't always know exactly how to distinguish what is a holy and what to receive and be receptive to, and when it is good to keep it moving and keep it moving and have some holy boundaries. This is not what I was going to say, but I felt it was important to bring in, because one of the critical aspects of healing, and we will talk about healing now, is to be able to receive. To receive warmth and kindness when it's being offered to you, when it's being freely given to you without any strings, just because you are deserved. Last time, the last thing I said here in the space, Sunday night, last Sunday, was you are worthy of love just because of who you are, not because of what you do or what you will do. Sounds contradictory since we talk so much about change around here. But at the core, we must never forget. We must never, ever forget that you are worthy and deserved just because of who you are. I'm going to tell you something else. I remember years ago, I was working with a speech coach. And again, in this vein of receiving and receptivity and hearing love and being around a field and environment such as this one on a Sunday night that is loving and that is transformational, I remember the speech coach said to me, you know, Felicia, you can't keep telling people that they are deserved of love or that they are made in the image of love. That's not going to work. And what she was speaking to was because, and think about if this is you right now. It can be very triggering to hear loving kindness. For some of you, you may jump and go, oh my gosh, it's like a waterfall. I've been in the desert. It's been like a famine. And still, some of you, it may be kind of a mixed bag. And then there's the first lot that I just spoke to, where it may be like sandpaper and very prickly sort of feeling. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I don't want to know about that. We block ourselves from healing when we cannot receive the good food, the spiritual soul food, the sustenance. And actually, this dovetails right into what I was going to talk about tonight. We block ourselves from vision and creation and believing that we can change our own lives and this world around us when we cannot wholly receive. It blocks your healing. It will block your healing. And sometimes you won't even know about it. See, these are the lies, the pernicious lies. Oh, and there are so many different forms and structures that have put the lies in place. Okay, so now, Manny, I'm going to ask you to pull up the slide, the first slide. I'm going to really go systematically through this tonight because this is very important. As I said, I want us all to really engage and experience some very potent and honest healing, clean healing. This is the good food, and we're here for it, yes? This is what we discussed last time. I named it as distractions. No, just go with this, please. Even if you were not here, just please take a ride. So there are these distractions, and notice there's a question mark because this is questioning, are these really distractions? What are these things really? And so I made the point that there are various forms of media and there's various toxic stimuli that vie for our attention, that distract us, and that waylay us off our path. And there are also the social constructs that are what? These can look like the idea that you have to be something, or that you have to arrive somewhere, or that you have to look like this or have this kind of status, whatever it is. These are the lies, and this is when I said to you last time, we must abolish these lies, these limitations. They do not serve us. And what that societal piece there, and I'm looking at the top left, I think all of you probably can see that. What happens is it creates symptoms, and this is not an exhaustive list. This can create symptoms as a result of living in this place. Anxiety and fear, depression, grief, trauma, addictive cycles, various kinds. This is not confined to drugs or alcohol, my friends. This can be anything. And death, a physical and a spiritual and a soul death. That's pretty heavy duty, I know. But I think it's very important to be clear and say that as a result of living in these ways of these distractions, it can cause these symptoms. Now, let's go down to that bottom block there where it says familial and family of origin and childhood wounding, because all of us, I know some of us feel that we may have had the most idyllic childhood, and maybe you did. Well, there's cellular memory, there's generational trauma, there is always something to look at here. And this isn't to abolish your fantasy or say or to negate your truth of your life. I think most everybody on this Zoom that I could see, you all have probably done some work in this area. It's very important to do, because when we don't look at childhood wounding, again, look at the arrow that points up to the symptoms list, that circle. And certainly we see that there can be, as a result of not dealing with the wounds, there's anxieties and fears and depression and so on and so on and so on. Now I'm going to take a breath and we're going to move over to what I have now renamed violence. And I know this is a very general way of describing, and I don't want to dismiss it, but I want to make sure we get kind of everything in. So violence, as we see systems and structures and policies and a violent society and culture. And so now I go a little deeper here with white supremacy and anything that is anti or phobic or oppressive behaviors, attitudes, conditions that degrade and harm and oppress maybe yourself, yourself, because of your identities or your social location, as it's often called, or the people around us. And again, now we see that that arrow also points to various symptoms. Okay, Manny, we can go off of this for right now. Thank you. So what I said last time was that we have to be clear. It isn't to be depressing or depressive. It is important to look at some. This wasn't even an exhaustive list of all the distractions or the seeming like distractions or traumas and all the different things that vie for our attention or lie to us, or the things that degrade us or oppress us. That's not even all of it. That's just some of it. And when we are clear and we see it and we name the injuries, we become that much more positioned to choose healing. And again, I said that this was an important moment for us to be ready and believing, ready for radical healing. I want us to come out of the service tonight and have a new awareness about our healing, a moment of, wow, I have done a lot of healing in my life, and I see I need to do some more healing, and I believe I can. I also I would love, and my prayer is that within this healing that is more focused obviously on the self, that there is an attached statement of this healing that I now believe in positions me and it creates in me the joy to be a change agent in this world and on this planet. That you, my friends, hear me on this, please, may feel so invited and so invigorated, where the exhaustion or the depression or the negation of we can't create the change, or there's so much that's happening. There is so much violence. There is so much hate, where instead in its place is a true effervescence of we are going to do this. We will do this. We are doing this work of change. To be absolutely abundantly clear right now, I'm going to bring out the toy. And this toy is a great example. It seems sort of funny or silly, but this is a very important example because this is really role. And so we say here that our inner work is absolutely supportive and related to our outer work in the world. Whoops, hopefully you can see it. Oh, I'm totally disappearing into the screen. There we go. The more support that we have, the more healing that you experience, along with that receptivity, the ability to receive. There is something magical that happens, my friends. And I did say magical. There is something magical. There is something miraculous that happens. And that is you must create change. You feel a welling up within you in your soul to do something. And remember, how that will look is going to be different. It may be creating songs like Jane just sang that blessed us, that blessed our bodies, that blessed our spirits, where we are reminded of truth, of what is true, where we feel some pitter patter inside of us when we heard her sing. I pray that you received it. That may be something you do. Not maybe quite like Jane, but the way that you are supposed to do it. You see, some of you are writers, brilliant writers. Some of you are poets. And so the way you string those words together are sort of magical change-making spells. For some of you, maybe you're still in that search of how it's all going to look. I feel that it's important to actually open up the space just tuning in. I want to see how I do this because I want us to get the most out of this time. Yeah, so let's open up the space, and to whatever level is comfortable. I have just outlined various things about distractions. We named it distractions, recognizing that it's more than that. The wounds that you may have experienced in childhood, I get that they're not just mere distractions, but they're the things that can distract you from vision, from creation, and from believing in change in your life and in this world. And so I want to ask what you need healing for. If anything was possible, and it is, what would you ask for right now? What healing do you need right now? And let us all hear one another and be very aware of the courage it takes to speak. And so we'll just wait Quaker style. Leslie, please.
Yes, this is a subject that's been on my mind lately. And thank you for the healing words. I think this is necessary for all of us in the days to come. Healing from the triggers of the past. I have a mother who's in dementia now. We didn't have a good life growing up. It was not positive, not negative. It was not positive, it was negative. I can't dwell now in her joyous state where she is now on that negativity, because it's the positiveness now that leads me forward to a more peaceful life and an understanding of the hardships she had. So my triggers are also someone else's hardships. What motivated those triggers to implant those thoughts in my mind for all these years? So when I sit with my mother now, and she is so childlike, and she responds to music, I am joyful, and I am grateful to be here and to grow.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. And again, let us witness one another in a way where we are really hearing people, hearing each other, I should say, and receptive in all ways. And who would like to share? Again, the question is, the prompt is, and I'm glad people are sending love in the chat. That is wonderful. The question is, anything is possible. Anything's possible. So what do you need healing for? What is the healing? Yes, Evie.
Okay, I wanted to add a little something to what Leslie shared. I think it was Leslie. I got confused. But I've been thinking a lot about generational trauma, the generations before me, my generation, and how my daughter reacts to my trauma and how it affects me. And I just thought that what I think is lacking between me and her is that she doesn't understand that my traumas have a lot to do with the traumas my mom had, and her traumas have a lot to do with the traumas her mom had. And I can't go further back than that with actual knowledge, but we are just layered trauma, and we have to decide to heal individually ourselves. And that's where I come to what I wanted to share, is that I have trouble with self-forgiveness. I can say it intellectually, I can understand why it's important, but it reoccurs that I get angry at myself for things I've done in the past, and that the problems I may be having now, whether it be financial or otherwise, are a result of those mistakes. And sometimes I can get really blue and negative and just seem to get into a spin of that. I come back out of it, but it still happens a lot. And I think that I still need to do a lot of work on that. And I don't know where receiving comes into that at all, really. I'm not sure. But there are those moments where somebody does just say something totally unrelated, and it starts to give you answers. And I think that if there's any bravery on my part in pursuing this healing, it's that I keep on talking, because when people are listening, they do come up with something that I didn't think of before, or that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Evie. So I just to be, to add on, Eva, thank you for everything that you said. Thank you, Leslie, for what you said already, and we'll take some more here. The receptivity piece. The more receptive we are, let me get this. This is so many layers, right? This is like years and years. Okay, so the more, say, self-forgiveness, the more one's ability to forgive, the more compassion one will have for themselves. And think of it like this. It's almost like any of the frozenness or any of that ice that has sometimes been formed, it just begins to melt that much more. And this isn't to say that we're icy people, or there's something wrong, or, oh, we're just so guarded and we've got all these walls and like we're in a castle. It's not to create any kind of shaming or anything like that. It only means that we become that much more resilient in actuality because of the ability to forgive and to have compassion, and therefore become more receptive. We become more able to receive. And now get this, I'll take it just one more step further. There is a certain autonomy and bravery that develops. And so you see that we are working with quite a few layers here. And again, let me tie this back in, that this healing, especially even tonight at this service and every service we have, this is to bolster your awareness and, yes, your forgiveness levels for yourself, towards others, and for your compassion. And that way, yes, you will be able to meet this life and this journey in a way that is glorious for you. I hope that you felt that. Let's take a couple of more, please. What do you need healing for? Where's the healing? What needs to happen? This is important information, and it's important to witness one another. Okay, Nancy, yes.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank you for how you're opening your heart in your energy tonight to everyone. And I find that recently I've been working on one of the largest dreams I've worked on. And throughout my life, I have worked hard towards my dreams. And many times when one is about to come to fruition, there's been some emergency, some tragedies, some unexpected thing that's come up. And I think it's so easy. It's so easy to anticipate when there have been layers of tragedy. It's so easy to anticipate that rather than to stay open to the possibilities. And so part of what I'm working on and how I'm wanting to continue my healing and evolvement is to remember that the past is the past and that life can be different. And as I believe that, I've been coming into meeting new positive energies, positive experiences, hope-giving experiences. And I appreciate coming and being a part of this, partly because of how inclusive you are. And thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. So I hope everybody heard Nancy and we're witnessing her in a way that is holy and that is good. Yes. And now I see David and Margaret. The hand is up.
So that's my hand. I think one of the things that I really wrestle with, I suppose most people on the call know that I see myself as a writer, and yet to this day, I deal with a lot of insecurity about that. There was a time when I was a teenager that I told my dad that I wanted to be a writer when I grew up, and my dad tried to offer me good advice by telling me that that would be a wonderful hobby to have, but nobody really made a living as a writer. And my dad is well past that, and he thinks the world of me as a writer today. But when we talk about the way that childhood wounds creep inside us, my dad no longer thinks that way, but that haunts me from my past. And today, one of the ways that it expresses itself is that I have a very hard time setting boundaries that preserve the sacredness of my time for writing. And I find that I wind up saying yes to things that maybe I'm not excited about because somebody else asked me of them. And my writing gets the fragmented time that is left rather than the abundant holy time that it deserves.
Wow. Thank you, David. Thank you. So these are very holy testimonies, my friends, and I hope that as we've heard Leslie and Evie and Nancy and now David, that we really open our hearts. You know, Nancy said that I opened mine, and I have. And there's a lot of energy moving. And I do believe that's because you have all been opening your hearts. We set a precedence, didn't we, tonight? So I feel called, and Manny, I feel called, get ready, Manny, for that say we should go to the second slide of healing. This is addressing what was just spoken. Because I would like to give you some tools for liftoff before we go into prayer and close the time up. So notice this no longer says distractions. It says healing. And though the green boxes are the same, the circle says outcomes. It doesn't say symptoms anymore. And we will only look at the bottom box where it says childhood wounding, because many of you just talked about wounding in that way. If you notice, please stay with me. It says inner child healing between that outcomes circle and the childhood wounding box. So the idea here is, and I'm going to show you another slide, Manny will show you another slide in a moment, about ways to inner child 101 healing work. And it might be a little different than what you think of for those of you that have done inner child work. I do it a little different. And there it is. So Manny, would you be able to come off mute and read this, please?
Certainly. Inner Child Healing 101. The first one we have here is grounding. 2, breathe. 3, invoke the divine feminine. 4, listen to her, him, the youngest part of you, especially when triggered, sad, or angry. And 5, bring compassion.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't always do this. You know, this is a very different service, what we're doing tonight. And again, I want to just thank everybody for their bravery and what they spoke, and then how everyone is showing up and being present. It's very important to go down to those primal or places within ourselves. And again, the reason why is because the more healing that we have, the better our ability to not only show up, but first of all, have faith, a leap of faith, like Jane's saying, and to believe in new dreams, to believe that your life can be different, to believe that we're going to change this thing, that we're going to topple the systems of oppression and violence. It actually behooves us, and it is necessary to do this piece right here. Whether it's forgiveness, whether it's anxiety, whether it's where maybe it's hard to focus, or where you notice sort of a dismemberment where we're doing too much. My friends, very simple checklist right here that when practiced in depth, things will shift for you. So number 1, a grounding practice throughout the day, minimum in the morning and at night, but throughout the day. We take the breath here. Number 2, we take the breath. We breathe. Throughout the day, you consistently check in. Notice how you breathe. Are you breathing from the chest and tight and constrained, or are you breathing diaphragmatically? Number 3, and don't worry, this will be posted in our group so that way you can take a look at this. Number 3, this is where it gets a little different, and this is how I was taught by my teacher. You invoke the divine feminine. And the reason why is because when you listen to that little kid, number 4, you're going to put that divine feminine right next and right alongside of that little part of you. And this is that primal part of you. This is the part of you that may get triggered. This is the part of you that may get anxious. You need to pay attention to that part of you. It is vital. It is vital for your sustainability. It is vital for your transformation. Listen to the part of you that, again, is it anxiety? Is it disbelief? Is it denial? Discern the voices, my friends, because oftentimes we think that the adult part of ourselves is talking, and it's not. And we oftentimes and it's certainly not the highest good in you, the spiritual part of you. I'm ready to come through the screen on this. This is the youngest part of you. This is the part that received those wounds or that has generational trauma going on. And so first you got to discern, what voice is this truly? This is the youngest part of me. And the more, number 5, the more compassion you bring that part, the more love you bring that part, the more you listen to that part and ask it what it needs, which is probably going to be the compassion. That's why it's written there. The more things are going to even out for you. The more temperance there will be. The more equanimity there will be. The more focus there will be. did I say balance? The more balance there will be. Man, you can come off the thing. Whew. So I want us all, even if you have done tons of inner work, even if you have engaged the young parts of yourselves, whatever modality you've probably used, I want us to recommit tonight. This is the liftoff now. I want us to recommit tonight to this healing process, because we are meant to not only give and give and give and bring and bring and bring. And you have to be careful on that, my friends, because where are you giving from? We are meant to also receive. We must receive. And there are people and places and things, and this role community, this role vehicle for change is one right here that is good food, that is good spiritual soul food. This is sustenance you need to receive. This is one place where you can come and you can begin to experience something different in relation to your healing. And the more we begin to have that experience, the more we begin to come alive into a different awareness, into a different place of forgiveness, into a different way of memory and joy with each other. We begin to have faith. We begin to have dreams. We begin to love in a way that is truly not about a bleeding out, but a flowing forth. These are the twinklings. This is the inner, the emblem of what a revolution of love begins to look like at a ground level. So we must take seriously our healing, not to sit by or sit on the sidelines and go, oh, well, this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to do my spiritual practice, or I'm just going to meditate and I'm going to pray and everything is going to be fine and good. No. We do this, first of all, you deserve it. You deserve healing. Remember, you are deserving of life and love just because you are you, because of who you are. And we are called to create change in the time that we are here. It is a hard time to be alive right now. It is very brave. When Jane and I spoke a few days ago about this service, I said it is very brave to be alive in such a time as this. But we are here. And I do believe there is a reason. I don't profess to know why any of us are, but we are. We are here. And so let us wholly engage in what it means to be alive from the highest place and from the highest healing. This is the Sunday blessing. And we release these words, all of these words, and we hold them dear to our hearts, what has been spoken tonight. And may we not lose sight of the receptivity and the love and the compassion that was flowed forth from the mouths that spoke and from the heavens above. So above and so below. And so it is right now. And so as we remember that we